Imagine a city where the air is thick with ambition and the scent of expensive perfume. Lagos, Nigeria, isn't just a location, it is a living, breathing entity that demands perfection from those who dare to walk its streets. On one singular night, at the Africa Magic Viewers' Choice Awards, a quiet storm was brewing. While others sought fame, one woman sought to redefine the very essence of African elegance. Is it a crime to captivate an entire nation with a single look? Tonight, we investigate the muse. The red carpet is often called a battlefield, a place where reputations are made or destroyed in the flash of a camera lens. For years, the AMVCAs have served as the ultimate stage for the continent's elite, showcasing the pinnacle of entertainment and style. But this year was different. The atmosphere was charged with an unusual intensity as the black cars rolled up to the venue. Everyone was waiting for a moment that would transcend mere fashion, looking for a story written in silk and sheer determination. Nomzamo Mbatha arrived not just as a guest, but as a cultural force. Hailing from South Africa, she crossed borders to claim a throne in the heart of West Africa. This wasn't just about a dress, it was a calculated move in the high-stakes game of Pan-African influence. To become Nigeria's muse, she had to navigate a landscape of fierce competition and sky-high expectations. What secrets were hidden beneath the surface of her calm, regal exterior as she stepped out into the humid Nigerian night? Behind every great spectacle, there is a blueprint. The garment in question began as a series of sketches, a vision of impossible beauty. Designers worked in secret, poring over fabrics that could hold the weight of 1,000 dreams. They knew that to capture the Nigerian imagination, they needed something unprecedented. The plan was bold, to create a piece that mimicked nature while utilizing industrial materials. It was a heist of the senses, a visual operation requiring precision, patience, and a touch of creative madness. To understand the gravity of this garment, we must look at the evidence. The dress featured 30,000 individual lash strips, meticulously applied by hand. Each strip represented a second of intense labor, a heartbeat of creative obsession. It wasn't just fabric, it was a sculptural masterpiece designed to mimic the delicate, fluttery nature of a butterfly's wing. The sheer volume of material required for this effect was staggering, challenging the limits of traditional couture and pushing the boundaries of what is considered wearable art. Then came the butterfly beading, a detail so intricate it seemed to defy the laws of human patience. Thousands of tiny beads were woven into patterns that shimmered under the harsh studio lights. This wasn't random decoration, it was a symbolic choice. The butterfly represents transformation, a fitting metaphor for a woman bridging the gap between two of Africa's most powerful nations. The artisans worked through the night, their eyes straining under the dim glow of the workshop lamps, ensuring every single bead was perfectly placed. The workshop was a pressure cooker of creativity. In the heart of Lagos, the tailors and designers faced a race against time. There is a specific kind of tension that exists when greatness is the only acceptable outcome. Mistakes were not an option. The humidity of the city pressed against the walls as the final touches were applied. Every stitch was a testament to the skill of West African craftsmanship, proving that luxury is not just imported, it is born in the heat of local talent. As the sun began to set on the day of the awards, the weight of the garment became a physical reality. Carrying 30,000 lash strips and heavy beading is no small feat. It requires a physical stamina that most observers never consider. Nomzamo had to carry this weight with grace, hiding the physical toll beneath a mask of effortless beauty. It is the classic trade-off of the high fashion world, suffering for the sake of a moment that will live forever in the digital archives. Nigeria and South Africa have a complex history, a relationship defined by both competition and collaboration. When Nomzamo Mbatha stepped onto that carpet, she was navigating these cultural currents. She wasn't just representing herself, she was a diplomat in a dress. The choice of a Nigerian setting for this fashion statement was strategic. It was an homage to the host, a way of saying that she respected the soil she stood on. The crowd sensed this respect, and the atmosphere began to shift from curiosity to awe. In the makeup chair, the transformation reached its final stage. The look had to be cohesive, a narrative that flowed from the hem of her skirt to the highlight on her cheekbones. Makeup artists in Lagos are known for their ability to create a glow that can be seen from space. They worked with precision, enhancing her natural features to match the ethereal quality of the gown. This was the final layer of armor before she stepped out to face the judgment of the public and the press. The moment of arrival is always the most dangerous. One slip, one snag of the fabric, and the illusion is shattered. As the car door opened, the air was filled with the rhythmic clicking of shutters. It was like a firing squad of cameras. But Nomzamo didn't flinch. She emerged like a creature from a dream, the 30,000 lash strips catching the light and creating a sense of movement even when she stood perfectly still. The investigation into her impact had officially begun as the first photos hit the internet. Witnesses described the scene as hypnotic. The way the dress moved was unlike anything seen on a Nigerian carpet before. It had a life of its own, a kinetic energy that commanded attention. Photographers fought for the best angle, desperate to capture the scale of the beadwork and the texture of the lashes. In the world of true crime, we look for fingerprints. Here, we look for the unique signature of a designer who has pushed the envelope until it tore. She was no longer just a guest. Social media is the modern-day court of public opinion. Within minutes, the images were trending across the continent. Critics and fans alike were dissecting every detail. How many hours did it take? Who was the mastermind behind the needles? The digital footprint of that night is massive, a trail of evidence that leads back to a single conclusion: Nomzamo had successfully infiltrated the Nigerian fashion psyche. She was being hailed as the muse of the moment, a title that carries both prestige and immense social responsibility. But what does it mean to be a muse in a country as culturally rich as Nigeria? It means you must embody the spirit of the people, their resilience, their love for drama, and their uncompromising standard of beauty. Nigeria has produced some of the world's greatest icons, and for an outsider to be embraced in this way is rare. It requires a level of authenticity that cannot be faked. Nomzamo's presence was a bridge, a moment of unity between the southern and western tip of the continent. The investigation takes us deeper into the concept of African luxury. For too long, the world looked to Europe for the definition of high fashion. But nights like this prove that the center of gravity has shifted. The 30,000 lash strips were not just a fashion choice, they were a statement of economic and creative power. It was a declaration that African artisans are capable of producing work that rivals any house in Paris or Milan. The crime here was the world's long-standing oversight of this incredible talent. Every masterpiece has a cost that isn't measured in currency. We must acknowledge the invisible hands, the tailors whose fingers were pricked by needles, the assistants who skipped sleep to meet the deadline. This is the dark side of the red carpet, the grueling labor that sustains the glamour. To become a muse, one must stand on the shoulders of these unsung heroes. Their dedication is the silent engine of the fashion industry, transforming raw materials into the stuff of legends under the Lagos sun. The lighting design at the AMVCAs played a crucial role in the night's success. Technicians worked tirelessly to ensure that every angle was covered, every shadow managed. For Nomzamo, the light was an ally. It bounced off the butterfly beading, creating a halo effect that seemed almost supernatural. In the high-stakes environment of a televised event, lighting is the difference between a masterpiece and a disaster. It was the final element needed to seal her status as the night's most wanted, most watched, and most admired. There was a moment, caught on a side camera, where the mask slipped. For a brief second, Nomzamo looked out at the crowd, not as a star, but as a witness to her own impact. It was a look of quiet realization. She had done it. She had captured the heart of Nigeria. This vulnerability is what separates a celebrity from a muse. It is the ability to be both untouchable and deeply human at the same time, a rare quality that the camera craves and the public loves. As the news spread, the fashion industry in Nigeria began to react. Designers were already taking notes, inspired by the bold use of materials. The Nomzamo effect was real. It wasn't just about one dress, it was about the potential for future collaborations. The investigation reveals that fashion is a form of soft power, a way to influence culture without saying a word. By choosing this specific look, she had opened doors for a new wave of Southwest African creative partnerships that would last for years. The 30,000 lash strips have since become a legend in the halls of Lagos Couture. They are a benchmark for what is possible when an artist refuses to compromise. We often talk about stealing the show, but this was more like a hostile takeover. she didn't just participate, she dominated the narrative. Every headline, every blog post, and every conversation centered on the woman who wore a butterfly soul. The evidence is clear, the heist was a success, and the prize was the undying admiration of a continent. But the story doesn't end on the red carpet. The legacy of this night continues to ripple through the streets of Lagos and the studios of Johannesburg. It serves as a reminder that African stories are best told by African voices, using African hands. The collaboration between the star and the artisans is a blueprint for the future. It proves that when we pool our talents across borders, we create something that the rest of the world can only watch in envy. The muse has spoken. In the world of true crime, we look for a motive. Nomzamo's motive was clear, to honor the craft and to elevate the platform. She didn't just wear a dress, she wore a philosophy. The philosophy that beauty is worth the effort, that detail is worth the time, and that Africa is the ultimate destination for luxury. By becoming Nigeria's muse, she didn't just take something, she gave something back, a moment of pure, unadulterated pride that resonated across the entire West African coastline. As the final awards were handed out and the lights in the venue began to dim, the impact of the night was settled. The 30,000 lash strips had done their job. They had created a spectacle that would be studied by fashion students for years to come. The butterfly beading had fluttered its wings and started a hurricane of creative energy. The investigation concludes that some crimes are worth committing, especially when the result is a masterpiece that brings a continent closer together through the power of style. As the sun rises over the Lagos Lagoon, the echoes of the AMVCAs remain. Nomzamo Mbatha didn't just attend an awards show, she rewrote the script for how African stars occupy space. By blending South African heritage with Nigerian opulence, she became a bridge between two worlds. The mystery of her influence is solved by looking at the craftsmanship she championed. In the end, the greatest crime is to be forgotten, and this is a story that will be told for generations to come.